My name is Tatiana CHERNOVA. I'm the PO of Marketing and Strategy at Alavar Entertainment and a CGD advisor. Thank you very much for coming to the presentation. Though it's about lunchtime or you already had lunch, but still, we are going to speak today about our experiments and about our experience developing mobile business.
But before we talk about our first steps in mobile world, let's start with a geography lesson.
You know, I love those kind of maps, and I hope you would excuse me for using this one. There are some countries lack from this presentation, including Singapore or, for example, Israel, where I live currently, but still, and some other countries, but still it draws attention to the problem of Russia.
Despite the previous map might have led you to believe the problem in Russia is nothing to do with vodka. Rather, the main paradox is that impossible to say whether Russia is a part of Europe or Asia. Then, though Russia makes up 1/6 part of the Earth, Europeans and Asians still do not consider it to be a part of the world.
Yeah, and this flag, that's on a map, it represents Novosibirsk. Novosibirsk is the geographical center of Russia, and that is the heart of Siberia, and which is more, it's the third city in Russia after Moscow and St. Petersburg, and that is the city where Alavar was born. And nevertheless, a flight from Novosibirsk to Singapore takes practically the same time as from Novosibirsk to Seattle. Still, we are in the Asian part of the world, and we're practically neighbors with you.
Alavar founders started the company in 1999, which means Alavar is practically the same age as the casual game industry. For the first 10 years of its life, Alavar developed, published, and distributed casual downloadable PC games. We produced more than 25 new PC games every year and distributed them around the world through our online and retail partners and our own websites. Today, the games are available in 28 languages, and we have a vast affiliate program that reaches people around the world.
During lifetime, Alavar created more than 285 different IPs, and we were making them, as Alexander said, to PC downloadable primarily. From time to time, we were trying to make some attempts in making mobile games, and these were games for feature phones that time, but that wasn't any serious part of the business, because our great games with colorful graphics looked not really good at those small screens, so we focused on PC only.
Our most famous titles are The Treasures of Montezuma, Farm Frenzy, and Hotel Mogul series. Each series has grossed more than $10 million since its release 5 or 6 years ago. Thanks to those titles, we came to know what kinds of games the mass market wants.
And which is more, we learned how to sell a game, and then the updated version of the game, so several updated versions of one and the same stuff several times. And this picture represents how we perceive PC casual downloadable games market. Actually, in 2008, the market started to decline, and primarily that happened because a shift of a PC audience to smartphones and tablets. Then, and also some people started to play in social games, and some of them were those audience.
Well, you can still make money publishing and digitally distributing PC games, and Alavar has even seen an increase in revenue from PC casual games. The popularity of smartphones and growth of stores selling mobile applications led us to venture into the mobile segment. In 2009, we decided to port several of our successful PC titles to iPhone. Luckily, we found the one and only person in our city, Novosibirsk, who had an iPhone. He's Alexander Egoshin, our head of mobile production.
Yeah. Actually, of course, that's not the truth, but close to the truth. Alexander Yegoshin was the only person in a 2 million city who knew how to develop games for iPhone, who believed in the platform, who wanted to do mobile games and really encouraged by that. And so he joined Alavor, and then in 2 years he became head of mobile production, but in the beginning he was the only person doing all the stuff connected to mobile. And in 2011 he actually himself produced more than 60 games.
Yeah, here he is, our mobile star Alexander Yegoshin.
Before and after joining Alavor. Okay, and that's another picture which represents our today's perception of casual game world. The market where we're working is constantly changing, and what happened from one point of view, people who started to play on smartphones and social games, they lurked some traditional casual game players from the PC, but on the other hand, the market for PC content became much wider. And today it's impossible to think of a person making only a PC casual downloadable game. All of them are done for iOS, Android, and other platforms as well. And market tends to be mobile, more freemium, more digital distribution. Oh, sorry.
We released our first iPhone games in March 2009. By the end of the year, they had grossed 50 times more than we had spent to their development. So yeah, the return on investment convinced that the iPhone was a valuable platform for our games.
And at that time, the market wasn't saturated with games. So the main thing was to produce actually a game and to release it. All you need to be successful is to port a game or to make a game and have it in the market. So good graphics and gameplay actually were the priorities, and our primarily marketing tools were email subscriptions and light versions of the games. The latter really helped in the promotion. One of the first our games for mobile space and the first version of the Treasures of Montezuma released, though now more like new versions are released, it still brings us thousands of dollars per month, and we were really happy about the results that time in March 2008, but still the breakthrough didn't come until later.
We were pleased with the results of our efforts on the mobile market, especially since only one person at Alavor was working on mobile releases, and we couldn't find any developers in Russia who had experience developing for iPhone.
Yes, but in January 2010 we received a New Year present, a Christmas present from Apple. That was when they announced the release of iPad. Of course, we did understand it. Of course, you perceive that as well, that on larger screens games would look better, and iPad is one of the best ever platforms for making games. So in April 2010 we released Hotel Mogul HD for iPad, one of our most successful titles, and that was at the same time as the release of the iPad in Europe. The game earned more than $100,000 per that month when it was released with the appearing of the iPads.
Encouraged by our success, we ported Natalie Brooks, The Treasures of Mystery Island, and other games from PC to iPad and released them. This quickened our pulse, and we impulsively decided to port all of our 250 PC games as a game to iOS. Because?
Yeah, because we had fallen in love with the Apple, and we also decided that Apple loves us. And that was because they featured our games quite often, and then after this featuring they climbed to the top of the sales charts, and having this in mind we understood that our main marketing tool that time was featured by Apple.
With the colorful graphics, our apps were becoming games of the week, and we didn't have and didn't even think we needed a single marketing person in our team. That's right, we didn't have a marketing manager or marketing budget.
Okay. And powered by all that success, we believe that was a success already. In iPhone and iPad games, we decided to port one of our successful titles, which was Hotel Mogul for Android. And the developers of the game, they made it on a multi-platform engine, so this is why it took several, really small amount of time to port the iPhone version to Android. And we used that only the direct porting. We didn't change monetization model. So with premium monetization model, the game was on the platform, and that delivered a stable income of tens of thousands of dollars during its first period of sales on the market.
Unfortunately, that was only one of our games which had been developed on the mobile, on the multi-platform engine. So for a long time we were unable to do as a mass port of our PC games to Android. Making matters worse, no one knew how to make a game that supported so many different resolutions, and those who knew how to develop Android games asked for insane amounts of money to do it.
Yeah, and how to make all the development, that wasn't the only problem. That time is September 2010, where I understood that we need marketing team, a real good big marketing team, saying making all announcements about the game and taking care about its release. We gathered some team and began purchasing ads on the websites that covered mobile games, and working with the press, so to press people and bloggers to encourage them to write reviews about our games. So these two things were our first two steps doing marketing.
Later we also learned the importance of encouraging users to rate our games, to write reviews, and invite friends to try the game.
In October 2010, we made our first huge PR campaign with the release of the Treasures of Montezuma HD. And we were really happy because the game attracted attention of the press, and Apple featured the game in the App Store.
The game climbed to the top of the US and many local stores, and in October 2010 the game tripled our sales of mobile applications, because at that time we were 100% sure Apple loves us.
Yeah. So to be sure, that's the most important thing. And that time
next slide.
Okay, next slide. That time was March 2011, and that was GDC. And we couldn't walk 10 feet without hearing somebody talking about freemium. So freemium was in the area, that was everywhere, but the majority of all of our games were premium that time, and the majority of Western and Northern American companies made premium games, no freemium at all. And according to the statistics released by Flurry, that time freemium games accounted for 38% of sales among the top grossing titles. And in July 2011, that was already 65%.
They told us we needed to change the production cycle of our mobile games. We had always known how to create addicting games. Now we needed to learn how to not only sell them, but monetize them in a new way. New tools like in-app sales began appearing, and it was clear we needed to master. That was for us a new world.
But of course that couldn't happen in a moment, so we did premium games and now we make freemium games. The whole shift and the process, it's quite long, especially when you have more than 50 titles in pipeline, and you need to restructure all the development. And so till that time we already released a number of several dozens of PC games ported to iOS and Android. And we learned that you can't only port the game. You need to adjust graphics, you need to adjust monetization, you need to adopt the gameplay so that it is the same fun on a smaller screen as on the big screen. So step by step we learned how to adopt games to the new market, and saw that revenues increased dramatically for the mobile segment, because that was not like the same game that was a game for practically for mobile platform. And so the experience allows us to stand here and to say that we understood that there are money in Android and there are money in iOS. I know that for you guys that Android here dominates, so it's easier for you to understand that Android brings money, but in Eastern Europe, in Western Europe, in Northern America, for a long time, iOS was the only platform. Like a year ago, nobody practically believed that there are money in Android.
While smart porting was a step forward for us, it wasn't the best approach to selling games on the mobile market. So in 2011, we started developing mobile games from scratch. During the second half of the year, we released 4 games, 2 of which was failed miserably. They have barely earned back their development cost after 6 months on the market, but the success of the other 2 games compelled us to continue to develop original games for mobile platforms.
And the first game from scratch we released, and which was successful, that was Shakespeare's. When we released it, the game was using a premium model, because we wanted to make it premium actually, but the developers of the game, together with its producer Alexander Goshin, I hope you remember our guy, they said that's our intellectual property and it's nonsense to make it free, so let's sell it. Apple featured the game and we received solid reviews, but still it was premium.
What about the game spread? And an American television channel even contacted us about making the reskinned version of their show about knights from different ages, and we proudly rejected their offer. Unfortunately, the game quickly dropped from the top of sales charts because the developers didn't follow through the updates we had planned. It took us nearly 6 months to release the multiplayer mode, and while that helped sales, its monthly revenue still wasn't enough to justify its development. It was even lower than the Treasures of Montezuma 1, which had been released in 2 years earlier, in the prehistoric days of 2009. In the other words, Dinosaur was outselling our sleek new beast.
Yes, and January this year we took a desperate step. We thought that it's like really desperate. We reduced the game price of Shakespeare's to 0 and purchased ads. And when they did this, we remember that the number of downloads increased so much that we couldn't in the beginning believe in that. Our services and apps that distribute free games also were of great help. And our bold move, it helped Shakespeare's to receive its second life. And during its first months, the game grossed twice as much as it did during 6 first months of its sales.
The game conversion was and still is excellent, but then we faced another problem. In some countries we could not purchase as much traffic as we wanted, so if there are any companies in this room to sell traffic on the App Store through Geo Targeting, please contact us.
And even though some territories where we didn't have enough traffic challenged us, Apple featured Shakespeare's Game of the Week in dozens of countries in July, and the game returned its positions in the App Store. And you know why? That because they love us.
Our next step involved learning how to make consistent game updates. In Novosibirsk, where Alavar is based, we host a school twice a year in which we teach talented young people how to make games. Many of these youth are students. We help them to form a team and start working on a game. It's homework, but it's fun.
Yeah, and those two guys in the pictures, those whose face aren't covered, are the developers of Rubber Rabbits. The other two guys are Rotary Rabbits. And when we released the game, actually that was unsuccessful, though with such a cute graphics. And in fact, the ARPU of the game was so low that we couldn't purchase traffic for the game and still make it profitable. And our first updates for Rubber Rabbits were released for Christmas. Then we released St. Valentine's and Easter editions. We worked like 27 hours a day to be in time, and it took us 1 month to make gift versions of the game, or even less. So, and to put it bluntly, seasonal packs rule. So this was when we really understood that we need to do seasonal packs. Yeah. And we were doing that, hoping and having in mind one thing that finally happened.
Apple featured Rubber Rabbits as this game of the week in several countries.
Yeah, and that happened in several countries because we take care to develop quality localizations to our games and actively promote it in some local markets. Of course, the US market is the biggest. We have good positions in Russia because the company is originally from Russia and everybody knows us there and is looking for our games. In China, which is a little bit strange, but good for us.
Because Chinese loves us. Because Chinese love us. By the way, our mobile revenues for 2011 were twice those of 2010, and we are expecting even greater things in 2012 because Apple loves us.
Yeah. And then what happened then? Though we understood that we need to do freemium titles, we couldn't but do our great premium titles. The Treasures of Montezuma 3, it's a premium title that was released in the end of 2011, and that's the most best-selling titles of our company in mobile space up to date. And in 2012, our sales for this game, like planned sales for the game, is $1 million, and we are ahead of the schedule already.
And that's without Apple featuring the game.
Yes, but though they didn't feature us, we know that they love us. And so what we wanted to tell you about how we moved. Of course, we faced many challenges. We still climbing to the top, but I hope that the way how we moved and our story would help you to also progress in your mobile world. In the beginning, we made direct ports from PC casual downloadable titles for iOS. Then we started to add Android games. Then we understood that we need to do smart porting because direct porting doesn't work. When we understood that we need to make games from scratch, but now we are in a different position and situation. Now we think that we need to do multi-platform or cross-platform games so that to release one game per all the platforms at the moment, so create the world which is accessible from different devices.
Yeah, in the last half a year we launched several titles or updates a week. Today we work with about 100 developers whose games we publish, and we have more than 200 mobile games for iOS, Android and Windows Phone 7 in development. We plan to release half of them this year. Oh. In June we will release the beta test of our first cross-platform MMO game for PC and iPad. We'll be using the subscription method of monetization, which works pretty well in European and North American markets. Users will be able to play the game on both the PC and iPad using the same account. We launched the game on PC 3 years ago.
Yes, we plan to reuse servers and create one world for PC and iPad users. And by releasing the mobile version of the game, we plan to increase the number of players tenfold and hope for more. And now we believe that this is our holy grail, and the biggest quest at the moment. We believe games should be cross-platform. They should be available online as well as offline. So when you are flying from Singapore to Casual Connect Seattle, you should be it should be available for you to play those games even offline.
Games should also offer social experiences and allow you but not require you to play with your friends. And localization is important as well.
Updates, 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 then some seasonal packs, and then updates. This is in what we believe. So if your game is online and it also works offline, when it's cross-platform with good localizations, with social elements, add updates and seasonal packs.
And the game should be free to play. Players should receive awards, be praised on their achievements, and be able to use their achievements and bonuses from the other games to play and pay only for upgrades.
Yeah, the leaderboards should be available but not required. So respect your players, don't make them to do something, just offer them what they really want and give them chance to select. And of course, if you make a game with, pay attention to the characters of the game, because one day you need this game to sell yogurts, if it's like something about the birds and you need to make it like with a solid brand. So, thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, we will be happy to answer.
Any questions in the audience?
No questions.
Well, thank you for your time. Feel free to drop a... Oh, okay.
Just quick question. In terms of monetization, do you guys stick with the like in-game purchase, or you guys stick with the paid model in the future, of course?
Of course, we believe in in-app sales. If I understood your questions.
Yeah. And now some of the other games are still premium, but in the future we believe that the game should be with microtransactions and freemium. Yeah.
Hi, I know you guys are big at PC games, and you are trying to expand that into smartphone. So now what's the share rate of your developers, PC and smartphone? Like a 50-50, or still you're big at the PCs?
Now we publish more mobile games than PC, but we still continue to work with PC development students, and a lot of our development studios work with PC and Mac and iOS and Android also.
I would add that majority of studios we work with have both mobile and PC inside of their teams, but those who are young, who just appeared on the market, they are mobile only now. But those who worked with us before, they have both PC and mobile divisions.
Thanks, and I just want to tell you I'm a big fan of Robo Rabbit, and that must be like an angry person.
Thank you.
To it. Yeah.
Hi, thanks. I'm Brian from Opera Software.
Hi, Brian.
Because we are dealing with most of the Southeast Asian country, even though Android and iOS getting more market share, over a majority of the phone is the feature phone, with mid-high end feature phones. A majority of the phones, which most of the people start to spend some money on the games. What is your strategy about getting market shares on this type of segment?
Good question. Unfortunately, I don't understand it.
Excuse me, I didn't understand exactly. Was it about like what we think about feature phones and what strategy behind?
Yeah,
strategy about feature phones.
You have games for iOS and Android.
Yeah.
And, but majority of the phone here is using leveraging Java or BlackBerry's kind of feature.
Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't do everything at once. Although we are quite big, to do that, still there are priorities. Some of our premium titles, like the Treasures of Montezuma and the Treasures of Montezuma and Farm Frenzy, we want them to be available for multiple platforms. For example, I was trying to find those brands. Yes, it's here. Okay, so for example, Phone Frenzy, it's available for Java 2 it's available for Butter, it's available for Windows Phone 7. The same about the Treasures of Montezuma. So our strategy behind is that our main pipeline of games would be available for iOS, Android, PC, and Mac, and Butter, Java 2 Windows Phone 7 for those titles who are like the top selling, where we want to promote our brand. But we also like really believe in Windows Phone 7. We wish you guys could get more strength soon. And still, like the majority of things we do are from Western European markets and Northern America. And I think that in a like small amount of time, Java 2 share would decline. We see that in Russia, for example, sales of Java 2 games in Russia slower, like it reduced twice during a year, the amount, the market itself. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.